So, we're going to talk today about how prepared are you for an emergency. And today, I think certainly here in the United States, and I'm in Florida, many people who live in Florida really don't live very close to their relatives, the people who can protect them in an emergency. And so I'm going to tell you my story first and just lead into that. I was in New York. We had a place there. My wife, Elaine, called 911. I was away on a trip. I was on a business trip in Vermont. I didn't get the call that had called 911 until 40 minutes later when my neighbor called me. And that day, sadly, she passed away. Now, I'd like to think that this is a story that only happened to me, but when I talk to the thousands of people that I talk to, I hear this time and time again. And because I wasn't notified and because I could have done so much more, I needed to try to help others. So I decided that I would. And so I formed this emergency info plan and these emergency alert stickers that you're going to hear about as we move forward. So this is the situation. And maybe if we have people on this from Canada, it's the same thing is true across, your country. So people are far apart. We ask you simple question. Would your family be alerted immediately if you had an emergency? Would first responders know your vital medical information? Now, this is critical to be treated properly, and that could have been something that could have saved my wife's life. So if you answered no to either of these questions, we would say to you that you really need to be better prepared and you need to understand how. And we're going to show you how. So what happened with me inspired me to help others. And the first thing that we did was we developed a 2-minute assessment. And I'm going to take you to the website later on, but I'm going to encourage you to take this assessment. It will tell you just how prepared you are for the 2 or 3 things you really need to be prepared for when an emergency happens. And we'll talk about those in some detail today. So when you take that assessment, it's going to give you a little score, okay? But you're going to give yourself the own score on that. You're going to determine, should I really do something or take action to be better prepared? So what we need here and what needs to happen is we need to understand how to use what we carry with us every day of the week, it seems. I don't go into any place where I don't see somebody on their cell phone. So if you have an emergency, what most people do is just call 911, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's a way that you can alert others. I'm going to focus first on the iPhone. And what we do with the iPhone is we let that iPhone, so we squeeze it if it's a newer iPhone, and we swipe the SOS across. That sends out a broadcast location. And then what it does is it calls 911. So if you're able to talk, you speak, you tell them what the problems are, and when you hang up, if you have it set up properly, it sends up an automatic text message to those who are there. I'm just admitted somebody in. Okay. So it sends it out and it tells them where you are. Your location says you're having an emergency. So if I had been alerted in that particular situation, I could have called my wife. I could have found out if she was still alive and she could talk. I could have found out a number of different things, and I could have helped get them in faster and provided them information. So everybody needs to be connected when there is an emergency. Now, what happens after that? After that, 911 arrives. And when 911 arrives, the paramedics need to know your information. They can access it on your phone. This is on the lock screen of your phone. That means the only thing they access is that medical information, nothing else. So if you set it up properly, they can know your conditions, your medications, your allergies, They can even call your emergency alert contacts right from your phone. And on the last talk we had, somebody said, "Oh, will those people pick it up because they're calling you?" You know, and the answer was, yes, they certainly will because they're calling from your phone. So they're going to answer that quickly. But let's say you're walking down the street, you're with a friend, and you have a problem and you have an event, they could pick up their phone. They could alert somebody else. Or they could even see, as you're going to see, that no information on your phone, and that's going to be when we talk about the stickers that we created. So they can alert and they can get everybody in the game, and that's what we need to have today. So we realized that we needed to have more than this. We needed to have something that would work on Android phones. So Matt Melton, who's on this call with me, he developed an app that works on all Android phones. And that's really necessary because Androids work on different operating systems. And when they operate on those different systems, there's no consistent way for 911 to know how to access that medical information. So this is one way to provide consistency. So all you do is you wake up the phone, you double tap on that, and up comes this. And with this, you can tap it and you can alert 911. They'll get a text message. Now we have to check in Canada if the text messaging works. If not, you call them first. Okay. Then you text. So you text you're having a problem to them. Those people know where you are. So they can call, they can check up. If you put your neighbor in there, they could even walk over next door and help you out. And then when 911 arrives, they can get your medical information also, just by tapping on that. So it's a complete system, and it's very, very important to have this because if you don't have this available immediately, what happens is it could take a long time to find out about your situation. They could treat you the wrong way. They could do the wrong thing to help save your life. So you want to do this, but you have to be proactive, and we're going to help you to do that. So this life-saving technology, let me just tell you a little bit about this. On the iPhone, which many people have, that technology is built into it. It's in their software. That technology came onto that phone in September of 2017. My wife passed away in November of 2017. We didn't know it was there. But strangely enough, most of the people I talked to, in fact, almost 90% of them, don't know it's there. So we want them to know it's there. So we developed stickers that go on phones that show people how to operate them. On the one on the left, the little black arrows show 911, and you wake up the phone, squeeze it, that activates it. The blue arrow for 911, swipe it and get the medical ID. The red arrow for you, swipe it and alert 911. And on the Android, on the right, you just tap it. That's all you do. And that's how you make it work. Wake it up and tap it. But you need to have more than this because we realized that when 911 came to the scene, they had to understand that you were prepared. And so, let me make sure I can get this to advance. There we go. So we created emergency alert stickers. And the reason for this was simple. We want to have them on the car and on the home. And if you put them on your car and your home, then 911 can see them and they direct you, look on the phone. In fact, when you call 911, they have your telephone number. They can even get that number from the dispatchers and they can call the phone and locate it even faster. So we've written a white paper on this as to how to save lives that relates to communities and all sorts of entities, high rises, whatever. And in this particular situation, one of those ideas is have the people who are dispatched call the phone, find it faster than searching for you. They can locate. So I'm going to show this little video because I think it's important. And what it does is it teaches 911 or first responders how to find that information. Remember, I said there had to be a consistent way to do it, and that's what we've developed. So I'll play this. We'll just listen to it, and then we'll come back, and I will tell you that the person talking on here is an avatar, and she can speak 40 different languages if you want, okay? But we'll get to that later.
Hello, and welcome to the Emergency Alert Sticker Training video for first responders. Smartphones can provide vital medical information of the person you're treating, better known as their medical ID, along with their emergency contacts. In this video, we're going to show you how to access the information on iPhones and Androids. Remember, this information is accessible even when the phone is locked. While not everyone is taking advantage of their phone's emergency features, knowing how to check their phone could help save the life of someone you're treating. If you see an emergency alert sticker on their phone, front door, refrigerator, or car window, then it means their medical ID is indeed available on their phone. On iPhone 8 and newer models, simply squeeze the side button along with either volume button until the emergency SOS option appears, and then swipe right on the medical ID. With older iPhones, press the power button 5 times rapidly in succession. The emergency alert sticker on the back of the phone shows you exactly how to do this. The process with Androids is slightly different. When you see the emergency alert sticker on the back of an Android phone, accessing the medical ID is simple. Just wake the phone and double tap the emergency lock screen button and access the medical ID with a tap. You can also call emergency contacts or send an instant text alert to them with a single tap. If you do not see the emergency alert sticker on the Android phone, they may still have their medical ID set up, but each Android phone model operates differently. This is the reason why we developed the free Android app that works universally on all Android phones. If the dispatcher has their phone number, you or the dispatcher can call the number when you arrive at the scene in order to quickly help you locate the person's phone. And that's all there is to it. Just remember to look for the sticker, and thank you for your service.
So we're bringing this out down in Florida and in the Miami-Dade area. And this particular training or this video is available on the website that I'm going to take you to next after this presentation. So you could even direct other people to that so they could see what it is. But you, as a person who might use the phone, well, you would need to know how to basically operate that phone to make that double call, if you want to call it that, okay? So I'm going to just do through a very quick video. This is a very short one to show you this, but this is important to learn how to do this. Did you know your phone can save your life? iPhones have a built-in emergency SOS feature, which sends a text alert to your emergency contacts when you call 911, and a medical ID so first responders have your vital medical information in an emergency. On newer iPhones, just squeeze the power button and volume button, like you're powering off your phone, and then swipe right on the red SOS icon to call 911. When the call ends, your phone will automatically alert your emergency contacts along with your location. With Androids, just wake the phone and double-click on the emergency lock screen button. Emergency alert stickers for your phone, home, and car show first responders how to access your vital medical information in an emergency. Visit emergencyinfoplan.com to learn how to set up your iPhone or to download the free Emergency Medical ID app for Androids. And you can do that and just go on the site. You can do all the education. You can do whatever you want with that. You don't have to buy the stickers. But what the stickers do is they tell people you're prepared. And that's extremely important. And we feel it's part of an entire process. But we want everybody to be safe. And visiting there and taking that survey will help you understand that. And this is what the page looks like. We'll be coming back to that. So on it, there are tutorials. We'll go over that when we get to the page. We started this, we started doing workshops in the very beginning where we were in small groups, but we realized that in order to get to the larger number, we had to build it in a format that everybody could really take advantage of it. So we did build the website in a way that anybody can get up and running just by going to the website. And we really encourage you to watch the tutorials, and I'll explain a little more why. So when you have an accident, I said you've got to be prepared. And when you take that assessment, they'll ask you the questions. Well, the first two parts, if you set up your phone and you get it so first responders can get that vital medical information, the alerts in there, you've done the number one step. But the second step is, do you have the document in place? Now, I'm more familiar with this in the United States than I am in Canada, but I can tell you, you have to have legal documents available in order to represent somebody, and you have to have them immediately at a moment's notice. That's very important. And when you run into any sort of an event that's a life-changing event like I ran into, you've got to be ready for it. You've got to have a plan. So we're going to build resources on the site as we go forward that will help you from that standpoint, everything from trying to make sure you can age in place and stay in your home to whatever it is that happens for you in that particular situation. So people often ask us, who's this for? And it's very interesting because most people say, well, it's for the elderly, but the reality is it's not necessary to be just for the elderly. Here in Florida, we had a very tragic event in Parkland with a shooting. And so a student that would alert somebody without really letting their phone make a noise, that would be really good. That would help them. Active people need it. People who bike, people who are bikers all over, they need it. People who are members of employers, they need to be prepared. Here comes my background noise, I'm sorry. So we think that families, senior communities, active living communities, condominiums, high-rise buildings, lots of religious orders would do this, and not-for-profits that have people who they serve who have health-related concerns. They would be concerned about it, and hospitals and physicians. So this is something that can really help a great, great many people. So we already went over the dispatcher and how the dispatcher can dispatch, and the 911 gets there and they call the phone and locate the individual and they save their life. Here in Florida, we have thousands of communities, and these communities very often have gates, and they have guardhouses at the gates. And so one of the strategies that we talk about is putting in as emergency contact the guardhouse. In the beginning, if there's an emergency, they at least know somebody's having an emergency in their community because of the location service, and they can get 911. But certain communities have CPR trained guards, and I just even learned about something yesterday about an organization that's just formed to even help even more, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. So what they do is if they have a CPR trained guard, they send them out earlier and they get them 5 minutes beforehand. Now remember, I can't remember if I said the whole thing or not before, but if you save 1 minute, just 1 minute with a heart event in an emergency, it's estimated that in the United States alone, we could save 10,000 lives, because 6 minutes is a crucial time with a heart event. And so here, I think we can save 5 minutes. So that's even more lives. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to this site, because this is where you should go. You go to emergencyinfoplan.com. Okay, and this one says sticker dot, and it can go there also. Both comes to the same spot. So this is what we're all about. Your phone can save your life. And we talked about the medical ID. We talked about the emergency contacts and the fact that you're sharing your location with those people. So that's the first step. So as you come down here, now we talk about the next part, is that you can watch a video and you can configure your phone. Now we strongly urge you to pull the video up on your computer and take your phone and pause the video as you go and do those things. I'll give you more hints as we get on through this a little bit more. Then we talk about the stickers and what happens when people order stickers. We send them to them. So they get them sent to them and they're delivered directly to you. But you have to make sure you put them on your phone and on your car and on your home. And we'll go over the numbers there. So down when you come down here, and here comes the answer to that first question, we have where you get the tutorials. So this is over here on the iPhone side, and this is the Android side. And if we look at this, the tutorial that comes up is myself, and I can do this. And if I do it, I can go forward on it and I can actually pause it. And when you do, this was built really for people who were not familiar with technology. So what you see is we realized in working with the people we were working with that this could be a little bit hard for people to do. So we put it in little bite-sized pieces so you can go on there and do this and upgrade it and do it. However, over on this side over here, we have the Android. And the Android is pretty much the same thing. You just go through that and it's going to tell you how to get that onto your phone and also how to set it up once it's there. Now I mentioned it's on the lock screen of the phone. And so that's one thing we have to do. And we're dealing with many different types of phones, but the process can follow and what we have set up here can help you to do that. But once again, if we can work alongside cyber seniors, it would be a great way for us to help people to do that. Easiest way to get the Google app is to come here and just hit right there. All right, but do it on your phone. So go on your phone, pull up emergency info plan, go down here and add it in. We won't go into that in full detail today, but what I will tell you is that once you go in there and you're in the app itself, you'll see the parts where it says edit and do and add on. So on the iPhone, I just go in there, I look up my medical ID, I go on the SOS and I look up my medical ID, and then I can go down and it will say edit or change, and you go right in. It's a very, very easy process. What I am going to mention to you is this. A lot of people put names of individuals in there like son or daughter, and they don't put a real name in there. It's important to put the right name in there. The other part that's important is that when you put the phone number, make sure what you put in there is their mobile number, because that's what's going to be texted to, and that's what we need to do. Okay. Some people will put in a regular landline, and that's really not going to work. And as you saw in one of the videos, we have pictures. Well, pictures are also helpful. They identify who people are. They just make it easier. I'm going to add one little thought here that you would add in your medical information. And I'm based more on the US than anything else. Here in the United States, the transfer of medical information is not easy. It's held in different buckets. Let's call it hospitals and doctors' offices. So if you don't wind up at that doctor's office, at that hospital, when you're transported somewhere, they may not have your medical information on hand. So we strongly urge people to put the name of their hospital in there, because 911 just picks you up and moves you to the fastest place they can move it to, or the one that has the least business and can treat you. And then having your doctor's name and telephone number in the notes section of this would be something that would be helpful, okay? Because it'd be that much faster to try and locate who you are should you be comatose. And these are all really important things to do. So I will tell you, it's very easy to add those in there. And when you add the name on the iPhone, you add them in, and then it says put the relationship and, talk to the person. If you're going to put them in as an emergency contact, at least let them know in advance. Okay.
With Android, there is a maximum of 5 emergency contacts, and that is just a technical limitation of how Android works for sending out messages, text messages through apps. But really, you don't want to have the general recommended number of emergency contacts is between 4 and 5. Oftentimes, as John mentioned, a neighbor is a great person. If you have a family members, people, friends that live nearby are certainly good. And also, if you have somebody who can make health decisions for you, that is a very important person to have as an emergency contact as well.
Yeah. Um, it is. I can speak to the iPhone because the iPhone works in many different countries. Okay, so it works that particular way, and um, and so we really shouldn't have any trouble there. You may have to call 911 and alert the contact depending upon the certain situation. And as I did mention, that with the text to 911, there's a temporary period of time in the United States where it's mandated, but it's not mandated to be done until a certain period of time. I think it's about 8 months from now. That mandate, I don't believe, is in Canada. Okay. But here's the thing, even if you set your phone up and you do everything else, you have it there and it's available right there on the spot. So it can be accessed by squeezing that phone, or if it's another older iPhone, by hitting it 5 times on the side. And that can be the difference between life and death. Um, I would say to you that what we're talking about today is primarily for smartphone users. I think if you take a look at some of the smartphones that are out there, they're very inexpensive. They're probably in the Android area. So for some people, that would be one. Where we find this to really work well is there are people, in our white paper, which I'm going to take you to and show you. In our white paper, we discuss this, and we discuss that, what the alternative for people are these big medical alert devices. And they cost about $25 to $80 per month, depending upon if they work in one location or many locations. And we have people who could use this, but they aren't at the stage that they're really, disabled, but they really could use it. And why not use something that you have? So I think the primary focus for us would be people who do have smartphones. Okay. The flip phones don't have this type of technology. And a funny story is I had an individual who was fighting the iPhone when one of my first presentations, and he had a flip phone. And he said, and I came back the second time and he had the iPhone. And I said, "What happened? Why do you have this iPhone?" He said, "Well, I dropped the flip phone in the toilet." So that was it. So hopefully you don't have to wait for that event. Thanks. So here you're seeing the phones, and you're seeing you can get that information. So anybody can go on here and learn how to set up their phone and just go on. The emergency alert stickers are important, and these are very inexpensive. I don't think it's going to stop anybody from getting them, but they come in packs. So they really come in packs of 6 stickers. There are 2 stickers that go on phones. There's 2 stickers that go on homes, and 2 stickers that go on cars. So the ones on the homes are ones you have back adhesive on them, and the ones that go in the cars have front adhesive. So you put them inside the windshield of the car and point them out, and that protects them from the elements. The the phone stickers, all you really have to do over here is you have to figure out what type of sticker do I need. Do I have an iPhone 8? Do I have an iPhone 6 or 7? Or do I have an Android phone? And if you're not sure, you can kind of figure it out concerning the fact whether it's an iPhone 6 or 7 or an 8 or above. So the iPhone 6 or 7, it operates by hitting it 5 times on the side, and the iPhone 8 or above operates by squeezing it on both sides. So we tried to make this as easy for people to do, and you can add those to carts. And if you take the assessment, which only takes you 2 minutes, I strongly urge you to do it. It drops to $5.99. Right? And as we go forward, we will have people who are sponsors, who companies that will help people. And as we do this, they'll want to provide information so you can be better prepared. And that will be some of the future. So let's go up to the top and we can talk a little bit about this is my story. And over here is get involved. And get involved could be if you want to help spread the word or do something, or maybe you would even like to have a presentation put on somewheres, or cyber seniors would like to know a little more about, reaching out from their end of it. But on the sidebar, we have an easy way for you to get to the tutorials. We have in the news, and then we have a white paper. And I strongly urge you to download that. Download it, you just go in and sign up for it. You'll get it emailed to you instantly. But it really shows you how to save time, how to save minutes, and that's what saves lives. And then for first responders, these are the training videos, and for yourself for how to use the phone. So all of this comes about right there on the spot, easily accessible and available 24/7 for your use. And if people run into problems, I'm assuming, Carly, what we can do is they can call you and they can have a phone call from a young techie, all right, who could answer some questions. And we're more than happy to work right alongside you to get you that information and answer those for you also with the support of your younger group. So when you do it, when you sign up for those stickers, you get an email. And the process is simple. So let's say you did this and you went for the Android, and then you went over and you wanted to order them. You can order more than one in a pack, but let's say you didn't want this one, you just wanted one, you'd order and you'd place the order down here, and you would check in from that standpoint. And when you checked into this, checked out, you could enter a code that would could be used to get the stickers without cost. And some of the people who are on this call today might even be interested in helping you from that standpoint, because some of them provide services that could help a senior through the aging process. So that's kind of it from that standpoint. I hope that that's been helpful. Um, some of the questions we really ask we get asked, I'm going to basically come back to this and answer them. What many people say is, well, I'm sharing my information with everyone. And that's not true, okay? It's on your phone. You are taking the information that would be in your medical record that's important information for the responders, and you're physically putting it on your phone. When that phone is squeezed and activated, automatically what will happen is face recognition and fingerprint technology gets turned off. So what that really means to you is it means that's all they get. And the reason you do this is to overcome some of those problems. I'm not as familiar in Canada as to how the socialized medicine works. If you have any information, I'd love to know more about it and the sharing of that information. But I can tell you in the United States, it's one of the things that's held back. So you have to play a proactive role. So we have people who have this on their phones, and they will go to the doctors. I strongly urge you to do this. They tell them, this is what we have, and we want to put our information on the phone. Would you please give me a wellness report so I know what I have and what I should put in there? And they'll do that. And very often those doctors will say, that's a very nice thing. Maybe we should offer this to our clients. So they then let people know about it and spread the word, because that's the way that they can know if something's happening, or at least they'll be contacted in that case. And some concierge doctors will actually put their personal cell phone in it, because they'll be notified when there is an emergency. And to me, that's the best way to be protected. So there are apps that sit on your phone. And when you hit those apps, if you're into the phone, You can get anything. You can push from one app to the next app to the next app to the next app. However, this application on the Android phone sits on the very face of the phone. We get it on what's called the lock screen. And what that means is that that's all there is there. So once that is tapped and accessed, in order to get into anything else on the phone, all your real personal data, um, you've got to have a passcode. Now, if you don't have a passcode in your phone, well, it's not protected, but you really should have a passcode in your phone. And same thing on the iPhone. When you squeeze it, once again, it's on the lock screen. Nobody can get anything. They can't get into your phone without knowing your passcode, and that's where the protection is. So I kid about this, but this is my next murder mystery. Okay, it's the person that comes over and hits you over the head, knocks you out, takes your phone, holds it up to your face, and gets every bit of information off your phone, walks away, leaves the phone with you. Okay, that particular person can do it because of face recognition and fingerprint technology. But that's activated when this happens. So the answer is it's secure. And we don't have that information. I want you to understand that. We do not have that. That's on your phone. That is your information. So it's not being put on the cloud. It's not being put anywhere else other than in your phone for use in an emergency. So this is one of the questionnaires that you can go in and do. And so we ask those questions, the same ones we had before. Not sure, no, whatever. Would they be alerted? Do you have a designated healthcare surrogate? Some people say yes, and some people say no. Okay. And then would your surrogates representative be notified immediately? And that's generally the biggest question because they're not they're not able to get what they have. They're not notified, but they don't have it. Do you have a do not resuscitate order? I don't know what the laws are in Canada, but here you have to have them in order to have these things carried out. And if you're talking about, you know, doctors representing you, they take a Hippocratic oath to save your life. And sometimes that people just don't want that because of everything they've been through. So you would answer these questions, and I'm just doing them at random, and then you could advance on through the situation. It's a very very short program to do. Okay, right? It's well worth the time for you to take it and just figure out what's happening from that standpoint. And so we're really, our whole mission is to save lives, and that's what it is. And to turn this around so things don't happen, what happened to me, it's a different story for you, should it ever happen. But I can just tell you, so many people that we talk to tell us stories about how this could have changed things for them. So we hope we can. And the more we can do to help people, think about the communities that you live in. Think about the people you could help who are in those communities. Think about your entire community. This idea of simply putting a cell phone at the front gate to save time, that's important. We had an incident down here where one of the family members was being abused by another family member. Had they had that at the front gate, they could have come and helped immediately, okay? Because we have these trained guards and security. And there's just so many applications for this where it can work. And even in high-rise buildings, we have an approach whereby you in the lobby. I talked to somebody the other day. In the lobby, you can have a cell phone in the lobby that people use as an emergency contact, and then they would know if you're having a problem. Because very often, what happens in a big building like that is 911 arrives and they don't even know where they're going, and that's one of the things we talk about. Okay. Well, I very much enjoyed this opportunity. I encourage you to visit the site, take a look at it. If you have questions, let us know. And, if you want to get involved, go to the Get Involved up here. And, if you want to help spread the word and save a few more lives, we're more than happy to help you. And, and if you provide any sort of support for people who are aging who could use something like this, please contact me and let me know because we'll work alongside you.